Greetings, YouTube. So today we are taking a look at my custom modified killer whale for a classified series. So I got it camera backed up here because this thing is big, and I'm going to go through how I put this together. If you have been watching any of my content for the past few years, actually 3 years ago now, seems like a long time, but 3 years ago I showed this as a possible vehicle for classified when the only vehicle we had at the time was a Cobra coil. And I actually started working on this probably like 2 years ago, but I never finished it until recently. So I mean, I would still say it's a work in progress, but it is usable and doable, and I really took some trash and turned it into a treasure. So let's have a look. Okay, so I apologize if the camera is a little bit shaky, but we got to go hands-free here so that I can actually see, so that you can see what we're looking at here. So just a quick once-over of the quote-unquote whale. Here is the top view. And again, I'll explain all this stuff here in a second. Just want to have a quick look at the thing overall. I did not change a whole lot with the actual construction of the thing. I added stuff to make it a little bit more feasible for classified. And obviously like stickers and stuff. Take a look at the back here. Somebody left their flippers in here. See, just what I'm talking about. You tell people stuff and they just don't follow the directions. Don't leave your stuff in the whale. And the engines do still work. Spectacular feature. All right, so let's talk about some of the features of this that I did. Okay, so let's start with the biggest thing I did. So if you recall, and I'll put some pictures up here, this thing was empty. It was set up to hold a small tank, and I wanted to use it for the body of my hover tank. So I had to come up with a way to cover that and make it look reasonably realistic or not ridiculous. So this here is just plastic from, I want to say it's from action figure case or action figure box. And I put it in here, kind of measured it up so that it kind of sloped down, put it inside here. Don't remember if I had to cut it or not. I think it was around the same size lengthwise, so it fit nicely. I got lucky and painted that green, obviously added some bits and bobs to make it look like it has machine parts or something. Didn't want it to just be plain up here is the point. You want stuff like this on the side so that it looks like it's actually a machine. This still opens, and there is room under there. In fact, room enough to fit a ram. So that's the hood part, or the front part. As far as weapons, these elevating and depressing turret type things were already here. However, these huge guns are what attached to them, which these are nice enough, but they were a little bit too big. I didn't want them to be this big. This makes it start to look ridiculous. So I found this cannon. I want to say this is from a Transformers toy. Probably goes to one of my combiners or something. And I wasn't using it, so I opened up the hole a little bit more and put this in, and now I got a nice little machine gun, maybe a 50 cal, something like, you know, something similar to that. And then on the other side, so I was looking for another one of these guns, couldn't find it. I may have another one, but I don't know where it's at. But I did find this, and this actually goes to the motorcycle, the Batman motorcycle that was in the same video as when I first talked about this. It's ridiculous on the motorcycle, but here it fits nice and well, and it does turn, and you can still use this depression feature for having it either point forward, or you can point it skyward for anti-aircraft purposes, and this missile actually fires. Whoopsie. Okay, so yes, it still works. So that's what I did for the weapons. And then let's look at the inside here where the people will sit. And in fact, let me switch up here so that we can see that. All right, so we are back to hands-free here. So what I have done, and I haven't added any bits and bobs or, like, you know, controls or anything like that. No, like I said, this is still, I would say, a work in progress as far as like the details. I bought these, and I have not attached these yet. I bought these seats off Amazon, and they are for like your RC cars or whatever, like if you're, I guess, need a replacement one or something like that. But I needed something, you know, that looked legit for the guys to sit in, that they could actually fit in. So these work out nicely for some chairs. Got two of them, got some steering wheels here, and these are just again, trash. This is like the little connection points for big things that come in cardboard boxes, like vehicles and things like that. And they actually have screw threads on them, I believe. If I remember correctly, maybe not. Can't all the way see in there, but anyway, I poked holes in this foam, and now they turn like a regular steering wheel. Works out real nice. I also used some action figure packaging for this kind of windshield area. Just thought it might be weird for them to just be looking over the top without anything in front of them, so that's why I added that. As you can see, the ram cycle is kind of poking through there. So disclaimer, you might need to check your leg room if you got a ram stored in there. But yeah, that's what I did here. As far as back here, so these little kind of gun turrets, there was a gun that attached to here that the 1/18 guys would use to shoot. This here is just a piece of foam that I put in here to cover up the hole, and that's where the 1/18 guy would stand, and he would, you know, fire the guns. But obviously the bigger dudes can't fit in there, so I cut these pieces of foam and then place them in here. And when you turn this around, you can use it as a seat. So you can have two guys sitting here and here, and they can just have their own gun out, and they can work the searchlight while this thing's going. This here was the seat kind of for 1/18 guy, but obviously can't fit in there. So as far as changes, that's really all I did. I added the hood, I changed the weapons, I put these seats in, steering wheel, this little thing here, added these foam pieces to make these usable for the bigger figures, and I want to say that's it. The rest of this is how it came. Also over here, just FYI, these depth charge holders, they take the little Nerf darts. The orange part is probably not something I want to keep, and maybe I'll paint that a different color so that it looks a little bit more realistic, but they fit in there just fine. But yeah, so that is about it, if I am remembering correctly. So the biggest thing, or the biggest undertaking with this was painting it. I started with a regular spray paint, drab green or whatever, army green. Had to cover up the skirt of the Hovercraft, and just, it was already green, but I wanted to paint it a different color green. So I did that, and then if you notice, I don't know if you can see this on film, but the hood is a different tone than the rest of the body of the Hovercraft. It wasn't at first, but once I did it, the spray paint, I needed to do some touch-ups, and I didn't have the spray paint anymore, so I tried to match the color, and I couldn't all the way match it. So I got as close as I could, and then I was like, well, at this point, I'm gonna have to paint that whole cover my new green so that it at least is uniform up here, and then if it's a different color down here, it's not that jarring. So, stuff you learn when you're doing customs. All right, so now that we got a killer whale, or maybe it's a mini killer whale, who's gonna pilot this thing? And there he is, Cutter. So we do have a custom figure here. This is not an official figure. This is somebody I put together using some pieces parts. It actually was a pretty simple recipe and pretty easy to do. So obviously I needed somebody to pilot this thing, and I've always had ideas of making a Cutter, and then what I have found is that it seems like as soon as I make a custom of a figure, Hasbro somehow comes out with an official one. No matter how obscure or random I choose, they seem to think the same way that I do. Like Shockwave and Crocmaster, I didn't think they were about to make those people. Those were like later in the line figures. Yet, as soon as I made a custom of them, here they come, the official version. So, kind of chilled on customs for a while, because I was like, every time I think of something, they come out with it. But anyway, so I'm thinking that they will not release a Cutter anytime soon unless it becomes like a HasLab and they're putting out the whale. Or I may be wrong, because they did release Copperhead with no moccasins, so it is what it is. But let's have a look at him here. So got the life vest, got some tactical stuff on his person, and I'll tell you where I got, or how I figured out, you know, all of these pieces parts here in a little bit. Did do some painting to kind of capture that look from his volume 2 look. This is the volume 2 look for Cutter. One of the reasons why I chose the volume 2 look, because I figured if they do make a Cutter, it hopefully will be the volume 1 version. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so volume 2 Cutter. So real quick, let's talk about what I did to make him start to top here. This hat is from Gridiron Studios, and I painted the headset portion black, added some metallic accents. These goggles are kind of attached to the hat, so I just went ahead and kept them on there. I figure it's okay, it's classified. He doesn't have to be exactly how he looked in a 3 3/4. I'm still deciding if I'm gonna put that B up here, because in the pictures I've looked at, sometimes he has it in this version, sometimes he doesn't. I think the toy did not have it, but the comic book did, if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember. This head is a hunter head from Star Wars Black Series that was painted up and customized, and then it was just in my fodder bin, and I needed a head that this hat would fit on, and he fit the bill. I made the mustache out of Mod Podge, just got some somewhat dry Mod Podge, put it on there, shaped it like a mustache, painted it real easy. The vest is Valaverse. In fact, about 95% of this figure is Valaverse. The vest is a regular, just vest that would come on a trooper, and I cut the pouches off, put on the foam, painted it so that it looks like a life vest, added these little nylon straps and stuff so that it looks like a life vest, and then I reattached the pouches and the ammo stuff so that it looks tactical. The legs are also Valaverse. This is from a Punisher figure, maybe? Yeah. Punisher belt, repurposed. This holster is also Valaverse along with the sidearm. I did paint the boots. And let me think, what else did I add to this? I painted that belt too, the belt in the inside there. That's probably about it. Again, 95% of this guy is Valaverse. The torso is either Trigger or Sergeant Slaughter from them. So, didn't have to do a ton of painting, really just accents and such. Add the hat, get a new head, make the life vest, and whoops, sorry about that, shipwreck. You get an instant cutter, and he looks the part. All right, so I'm gonna try to do a little bit of scaling here with some other vehicles. It's gonna be a little bit difficult because it's so big, but there is the whale. Then we got a couple of 3D printed vehicles by my boy Kaz, the casual toy collector. And then on the other side here, we have another 3D printed vehicle. This is the Wolverine from 3D Printing Forge. And then you got the Fortnite boat, which I have not done anything with this yet. Not sure what I'm going to do. It's bigger than I thought it was going to be, so not sure. But yeah, there's the custom whale next to some other 3D vehicles or classified vehicles. Okay, so to wrap this up, so we got this whale here. And is it exactly like the 3 3/4 inch version? Of course not. It's not going to be. This vehicle was made for, you know, a similar look, but a different purpose. I kind of think that the whale is probably in the conversations over at Hasbro for probably a HasLab. I don't see them releasing the whale at retail. It's too big. So we'll see, I guess. But for now, this is kind of a nice, you know, mini version of it. Maybe something that you would use in a different type of amphibious operation where you don't need a personnel carrier per se, but you got a nice vehicle that can go on water and go on land, and you can deploy a couple of people, fire team, a squad, whatever the case. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.